Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're collaborating our votes to change cards using the new Balance Council system. In case you didn't know, the Gwent developers are no longer doing balance patches. Instead, players now vote to buff and nerf cards. Each month, any player in Pro rank or with 25 wins in ranked mode can vote on which cards they want to change. For details, see this guide. Today we're talking about which cards we want to collectively vote for in the first voting session, which ends at the end of October. Only the top vote recipients in each category get changed, so teaming up gives the cards we choose better chances of winning. Don't worry if you already voted, you can change and resubmit your votes anytime before the end of the month. Before I explain my choices, a quick note on our overall strategy. The top 15 cards in each category will get changed, as long as they get at least 50 votes. But it doesn't matter if a card comes in first or 15th. Either way, it'll still get changed. There are some cards that so obviously deserve nerfs, like Golden Necker and Battle Stations, that I'm assuming those cards are going to win whether we vote for them or not. So instead of wasting our votes on obvious cards like those, I've chosen cards that will make our votes more impactful by hopefully making some important changes that might not have happened without our support. Also, all these votes should be meaningful for standard ranked matches, but I also emphasized cards based on seasonal events as well. Starting with power increase, and remember, the order in which you pick cards matters, we have Brehyn, Aedirnian Mauler, then Naglfar Taskmaster. Brehyn, first of all, is one of the worst value cards. You probably forgot she existed because there's no reason to ever use her. She's weak, and she doesn't fit in with any particular archetype. She probably needs at least 2 more power to even get considered in decks, but we have to start somewhere. Then we have Aedirnian Mauler, another card that's so bad you never have any reason to use it. It's also already 4 provision, so the only way we can buff it is with a power boost. It still won't be great, but at least that makes it NR's only 5 base power bronze. Lastly, we have Naglfar Taskmaster, arguably the worst card in the entire game. Faction-specific cards are supposed to be better than neutrals, but this is just a worse version of Pellar. Tirnalia made it indirectly a little stronger, but the only real argument against voting for Taskmaster is that it's probably popular enough to win this vote no matter what. Overall, I think this is the least important category, but maybe it helps support some long overlooked cards. Next, we have Power Decrease, a tough category because there are so many overpowered cards that need nerfs, but we can only vote for a small fraction of them. Provision nerfs are likely the most effective way to balance cards, so that makes the Power Decrease category a bunch of cards that ideally would gain a provision, but this is the next best thing. In order, we have Philippe, Scratchalot, then Idoran. For Philippe, Nilfgaard's status spam is too powerful, and Philippe is one of the main reasons why. At 6 power, it would usually take at least 2 turns to destroy him with damage, and since he usually gets Zeal, at that point, he's already made a big impact. Dropping him to 5 power should make it easier to remove him in 1 turn, giving him less time to spread statuses. Next, we have Scratchalot. A few years ago, the developers realized that playing 2 cards in 1 turn was so powerful that they removed most cards and abilities that could do that. They completely ignored that with Scratchalot, who lets you play an extra card every turn. In addition to gaining 2 points per turn directly, and 6 or more points per turn in a Thrive deck, he fixes all of Thrive's weaknesses, so we're lowering his power to make it harder to activate those Thrives. Lastly, we have Idoran. For Standard, he's an annoying Reaver support card, and everyone hates Reavers. In Seasonal, he's the single most overpowered card ever. He killed the +1 event, and he was so broken that he became the reason seasonal events are now weekly, not monthly. Like with Philippe, dropping him to 5 power makes it easier to remove him in 1 turn, which could limit his value. Ideally, I'd give these cards provision nerfs, but weakening their power makes it easier to shut these engines down early, which could be a reasonable alternative. Next, we have Provision Increase, the most important category. If I could trade all of my votes in the other categories for more Provision Increase votes, I would. There are far too many overpowered cards, and this is the best way to nerf them. In order, we have Casting Contest, Tibor, then Base Vilgefortz. First, Casting Contest. Quietly, one of the main reasons why Reavers can be so dominant. This card was reasonably priced for its original purpose, to reset orders on Patience Mages. Casting Contest got way stronger once it could reset Reavers' orders, giving those decks a cheap and easy way to avoid most counters. Increasing the provision cost takes 2 provisions away from Reavers' decks, which is long overdue for a deck that can so easily replay its strongest cards. Next, we have Tibor. Mill is killing Gwent, and Tibor is one of the worst offenders. Having an archetype that is designed to prevent people from playing Gwent is going to make people stop playing Gwent, which is the last thing we want. Tibor's high power and engine value make him more than worth 12 provisions in Standard. In the Banished event, there are no cards in your deck, so he has no downside. He has the power of 3 cards and invalidates every other deck. He needs a provision nerf. Lastly, we have Base Vilgefortz, another mill card and one that is also too powerful. He has removal like Base Geralt, but with 2 more base power, 1 less provision, and unlike Geralt, he can target any unit. Even after summoning a unit, he's stronger than Geralt because he's more consistent. There's a reason why he's more common. So he should at least cost the same amount of provisions, not less. He doesn't have the summon effect in the Banished event, so like Tibor, he becomes completely busted. There are countless other cards that I'd want to include in this category, but if some of these cards win, we can target new cards next time. Lastly, we have Provision Increase, the most impactful way to buff most cards. In order, we have Sticky Situation, Gregoire de Gorgon, and Philippa Blind Fury. First, Sticky Situation. For 8 provisions, it stinks. It looks like a 4-point per turn engine, but you never know when it's going to activate, and if it does, you're probably only getting it for a couple of turns. The Spring effect is bad value, and both kinds of boosts get worse later in the game. Lowering the provision cost is the only way to make this card relevant. Next, Gregoire de Gorgon. So bad for so long, he's been irrelevant even after getting some buffs. His death blow is hard to get, so it's never been worth taking the risk of using it. With a provision buff, we can reduce that risk by making him a less costly investment. Lastly, we have Philippa Blind Fury. Power creep has made this once decent card irrelevant. A provision buff has been overdue for years. The only counter-argument is that this might be a popular enough choice that it doesn't need the extra votes. These cards have interesting abilities, but for a long time have been too costly to be relevant. Hopefully, reducing their provisions will make them more popular. So those are all the cards I'm voting for, where I'm voting for them, and why. And by voting for the same cards, we can increase the chances that they get changed. Remember to hit the submit button at the bottom of the page to confirm your votes before the end of the month. We need our votes to be the same for this coordination to work, so I strongly recommend that you vote similarly to what I've listed here. The more of us team up, the more successful we'll be. So let me know in the comments if you're voting with me. I'm happy to answer questions about the Balance Council process, or why we did or did not choose a particular card. If you had other cards that you wanted to vote for, let me know in the comments, and we can target those next time. We won't have to wait long. If you're interested in more Gwent content, stick around for standard and seasonal deck guide videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.